Hi, everybody. Welcome to Guided Heart Tarot 77 with me, Danny. If you've been to my channel before, thank you so much for coming back. You'll see a very minimal approach here. Again, I'm still moving into the house and there's not a lot of lighting that's built in, so it's pretty dark in here. Which is kind of appropriate because it is nighttime and it's very moody looking, but also very blank, so I do apologize for that, but it'll change. Those of you joining me for the very first time, yes, I do typically have just a little bit more out here, but it's not always about the crystals and the scenery. It's just about, the messages that come through. That said, I'm never sure what's going to come out. I'm just going to read what I see, okay? I felt compelled to pull out Mystic Moon's Oracle deck, okay? If you haven't heard of Mystic Moon, she's an amazing tarot reader. I don't know how long her channel's been up on YouTube, but I've been watching for years, or I found her years ago anyway. And of course, I think a lot of us have her decks. But I normally just read tarot and clarify with oracle cards. But I felt drawn to just read with the tarot cards, okay? And just read from the messages that I'm seeing. And that said, I'm going to see what comes out in today's reading for the person, or for you. For the person watching, what do they need to know right now and what would they find helpful? What does a person watching need to know at this time? I'm going to take all three, okay? We have surrender, separation, cycles. Okay, already what I'm getting is, there's a connection here where you guys are not together at this time, okay? Clearly, this is showing some kind of heartbreak, something very difficult, so something that almost felt like your heart was being torn, very much like the picture here, okay? I feel like it's still an open wound for many of you, and in order to mend this wound, I feel like the message to you is to surrender and let it go. And that might be what you guys are doing right now. Some of you are doing right now, or trying to. Just release this, trying not to hold this in your heart any longer or in your mind to where it still causes you pain. Cycles here, so that you're about to start a new cycle, or you've been through several cycles with this particular person. Okay, and it might be hard to break free from this because of the length of time that you've been with this person. Okay, this doesn't happen overnight. The heartbreak doesn't happen because you barely knew the person. Okay, I do feel like this connection has lasted for quite some time, enough to, have one full cycle or two. What else, Spirit? What else does the person watching need to know right now? What would be helpful given this connection? We've got refocus. Yeah, I do feel like you're trying very hard to, sorry, a lot of cards fell out. By taking your mind off something, so maybe learning something new, just going in a completely new direction, but really trying to pull your focus away from that person in order to move on. Almost like not looking back, but completely looking forward. But it's really hard for some of you. Of course, we've got the twin flame cards in this deck, okay? And here we are with the twin flame connection. So this is definitely something that's very hard to break away from. Okay, because there's still that connection and that bond, that closeness that you feel even when you're away and apart from this person. And in the shadow depiction, these two look connected. Okay, it's like they're protected with this. It's like their energy protects them from any of this outside energy. So you feel like you're one person, I guess, right? So that's very difficult. Winter. Okay, so I see how on fire these two people are. And I feel like right now it just feels cold. You might not feel that connection with this person, but again, it's like you almost can't not feel it. So there's a really strong energy of refocusing here, shifting your energy to something else, anything to take your mind off. off of this. Okay. And winter could be, you know, showing us something about this next season. We are going into winter. Okay, or maybe this happened a season ago. Okay. But it just feels like the connection's cold now. Oh, Spirit. Fifth dimension. Yeah, definitely feel like you guys are connecting. Not in the physical. Okay. But this other level of consciousness, this other plane, maybe in your dreams, but just some place, just not, like, not tangible, but just some place you're still connecting with them energetically. Regret. Free will. Okay. So you were this person, whoever walked away, and I do feel, I mean, even if you might have still walked away, they may not have walked away from you, and that could still cause a broken heart if you felt like you had to walk away. But for those of you that this person chose something else, to go off on their own, okay, to live their life, if that's what they told you, you know, they're regretting it now. Okay. They're feeling that lack and that space between the two of you. You know, they had their freedom. They chose that. But now in their state of regret and sadness. Okay. So they could be feeling this heartbreak too. So this, you know, it's like once you surrender and move away from this, they could be feeling that heartbreak, and that could be in some way drawing them back in. It's that push and pull, right? Of that twin flame connection. Dark night of the soul. Yeah, there's something about this reading seems just very, like there's a sadness here. A very deep, like a deep wound. I'm getting something very fresh still, something that just hasn't healed. Okay, it's just like it's been on ice, but it just hasn't healed. So somebody here is deeply feeling this loss, and maybe going through own, you know, really, I don't like to always use the word, this clinical term, you know, depressed, because, you know, this is not like a form of diagnosing anybody, okay? But this person is going through something very challenging emotionally, and just like you are. But though I feel that you're more successful at the moment of pushing forward and moving on, because you just can't afford to stay in that state of mind. It's almost pulling them into it. Does that make sense? And it's like you are exercising your free will to not be contained by the sadness. But they're definitely going through it. Yeah, destruction. So whatever has happened like now that your connection is physically over, I feel like that just destroyed them, even though they might have walked away. Okay. And if you walked away, that destroyed them. Why did this connection end? Please, Spirit. What happened? Why was there this destruction? What happened? Abandoned. Someone might have felt abandoned in the connection, right? Somebody may not have felt like the connection was equal in some way. Maybe one person was giving more than the other. Divine timing. Timing could have been off as well. There could have been a number of factors here, it looks like. Let's see. Forgiveness. But then I'm looking back at that free will card. I do feel like, and maybe it wasn't the right timing. Okay, somebody again could have taken off from this connection because they just felt like it. You know, let's get one more card for that. Received. Oh, maybe a couple more. It's not very clear to me. Fall. Okay, so slightly before this ended, what I'm getting from received and fall is that this person or you, again, I'm just going to read it as this person, okay, was the one that had ended this, because that's more or less what I'm getting. Mostly, I'm seeing it both ways, though. But received, I'm feeling that they got, they might have received a message from somebody, okay, and somebody else, or gotten a feeling that they needed to kind of abandon ship here, remove themselves from this connection, okay, as if their attention was drawn somewhere else. And timing wise, you know, I mean, look at this. This happened, it's either happening now or last fall, and by just even a few months later it was done. Like it's almost like somebody just completely pulled the rug out from somebody here. Like ghosted somebody. And look how fresh that rose is. It's like almost like they gave you this love and just took off. Okay, it's very cold. It's a very yucky way to exit somebody's exit a connection, and that's why I do feel like there's this huge feeling of regret, and they want this forgiveness, and they're hoping that over time, you know, in time, that you will forgive them. Okay, I don't know if they're reaching out to express this, or if they feel like they even deserve your forgiveness. I feel like they're hoping that enough time has passed, like a whole nother season. It's like they're giving you time. That might be enough time to heal this. Okay, what else would be helpful for this person to know? Is there any advice that we can share with the person watching? Is this something that could possibly come together again? I've got grief. Yeah, a lot of sadness here. A lot of grieving over the actions that were taken in this ending, or in this relationship, the behavior that was like the behavior. I feel like somebody here, the person refocusing, the one that's trying to let go, is like, this is very much on their mind and they're very much connected to it. And I feel like they've been through the stages of grief, and now the other person's going through it. Communication. Okay, so I did ask, you know, do we see this connection coming together again? So I do feel that's confirmation that there will be some form of communication at some point. Okay, somebody's reaching out to somebody, and it could be again in the sorry, I'm trying to pull this out, the fifth dimension here. Okay, but somebody wants to apologize, or at least talk about, you know, how this made them feel. Almost like getting closure. Or at least to find a way to move on. I don't feel like two people want closure necessarily, but it's like I feel like two people feel the need for this conversation to explain more about what happened, because, you know, there are two people here that it just ended. There wasn't a lot of discussion about that connection. Release. Okay. I feel that the communication is going to be about why this was released, why this was abandoned. Shadow work. Okay. So the person that, you know, wants to apologize or wants to explain themselves, or the one that's feeling the most regret here for how they behaved in this and why they left, I think a lot of it has to do with the dark night of the soul and that shadow work coming out. they're having to, you know, deal with a lot of stuff that's inner work. This is, shadow work is about inner work. This is about stuff that's deep within us that gets illuminated. And once it comes out, it's needing to be processed. It's now in the light. We've got to talk about it. We've got to deal with it. We've got to look at ourselves in that way. We've got to look at those parts of ourselves. And that sets us into the dark night of the soul, where we're now having to deal with this very painful, conflicting energy in our lives, while trying to like live our lives, right? That's very difficult. So that could be very, very challenging to do that and still continue to go about our daily lives. Okay, so that does talk about isolation too, and like having to be on their own. It reminds me a lot of the Hermit card of withdrawing and going through this perhaps on their own. So part of this, I feel like what they might explain to you is that this was coming out in some way or another, or this was being exposed, and they felt the best way to do that is to go off on their own and deal with this without you in the picture. Okay, so it could have appeared as if, and that could be the message that they received, you know. But I do feel that if they, in fact, did leave to explore other options and get their, you know, have their freedom over here, the freedom cards under here, it could be all because of, you know, what was hidden, what they were masking, what they were not being honest about, and it was just pulling them away from you. I do feel that, you know, that's part of your twin flame journey, right? So you guys bring these different parts of each other out, and it's very intense energy, and illuminates a lot of, you know, stuff within ourselves we don't even know about. And then there's this separation, and then there's this coming back together again. Okay. Oh, I just flew one out. Big dreams. And we have the release card. So, well, I kind of brought that up too, but the releasing could be very much about, you know, allowing somebody to grow and allowing them to come back once they've healed something, or once they've fixed something within themselves, or fixed the way they look at things and how they act and react in situations, okay, and in different relationships, and releasing a part of ourselves that needs to be released, maybe. Okay, admired in big dreams. So I feel like you inspired them in a lot of ways too, and they admire that about you. So they might not have felt good enough for you too, if they were truly hiding an aspect of themselves that needed to be worked on. You know, that when that pops out, you know, they could feel that they might have been like you were too big of a dream. I don't know who this is making sense for, but they could have felt like they dreamt you up, or you were just bigger than what they could expect or even felt like they could attain. And they truly did look at you in this light. Okay, they do feel like you're somebody that should be admired, somebody you should be adored. And they did do that. That's how they did feel about you, but almost felt like too unattainable is what I'm getting. Okay. I feel like there's just one additional message in here. I want to see if it comes out for you guys. Any last messages for this person? Bound. That is a very strong connection. That to me looks like a double card too. Free will. It's very similar in illustration. And I'm getting this like overwhelming feeling of like openness. Like you're almost willing to accept these aspects of the other person and vice versa. But there's free will here too, to make your own decisions. But I feel like you still feel like you're so connected to this person and willing to accept all parts of them, even though you're trying to surrender and let them go, release and everything. It's like, but once they communicate, ooh, could be in another cycle. You saw that cycles card. Ooh, fear. Yeah. That to me looks like that received card again. So fear that they could, you know, withdraw again. Fear that they could leave you again. Compromise. That has to do with that communication, I believe. Surrender. Well, there's a... I'm going to use that as the final message here because that came out in the very beginning. As your first card, and I'm going to make it your last card. Just because I feel that that's the right thing to do right now. Okay. And we have commitment. Also on top here, separation. Very, okay, so it's very much about cycles for you guys. I do feel like it's very much about starting something, ending it, starting, ending, starting, ending, starting, ending. So those wounds still feel very fresh, I think, because not only are they recent, but this could just be a wound that never heals. Okay, with how you guys come in and out of each other's lives. It's like when you're working on something, working on yourselves, I feel that maybe enough time has passed like in between while separated to actually heal yourselves before you come back together again. Because again, I feel like this very much looks like the Devil card. So there's a level of toxicity here, or a level of behaviors that maybe are not in our best interest. Okay. Trying to exercise our free will to release and let go. It's like we feel drawn back again. So that fear is here within someone, thinking that this could end again. Okay. That conversation, I feel like you guys are going to be talking a lot. Okay. And again, making these compromises, it's almost if you're compromising yourselves and your own happiness, allowing each other to come in and out the way you have. That's strongly what I'm getting. But also wanting to talk about, you know, the opposite of this, and trying to make it a healthy connection. Just say, hey, you know, I'll come back, but we gotta work on things. Okay, it's very easy to slip back into old patterns, you know, if we don't really heal. So just keep that in mind. Surrender. So again, we're gonna end on this card. I don't know if YouTube's actually gonna let me keep this up. Obviously, she's very much unclothed. Okay, but we're talking about surrendering here, surrendering the connection, surrendering. We have that divine timing card, so surrendering what we want, what we feel should happen, what we feel like the need to happen between two people, and just letting go and letting that timing take its course. Just letting like releasing each other, allowing each other to heal and coming back. So it's surrendering that control, letting go of that need to know what's going to happen next. Okay, I feel like that's when real surprises come in. And that's when, you know, you might have not the separation, because that's where I got that cycle, cyclic, that pattern in your relationship. That's why I kept getting that. And that's when we might get this real commitment here. Okay, so I do feel at some point it's almost like the ending of your story could involve just a really solid commitment between the two of you, something really healthy, something that feels really, really kind and loving, and where you feel like you're connected in the physical. Remember, we were talking about connecting in the 5D, but I feel like there could be this connection and this not letting go, being each other's people for long term. Okay, if you allow each other that space to heal, to let those wounds close. Okay, so that hopefully reached the right person or people out there. Again, these readings aren't always going to touch everybody in the same way. Maybe at some point in your life, but whoever this was for, I hope it reached you. Apologize again for my very lackluster scenery. It will get better though. Okay, as the time goes on, as I move in completely. All right, I love you guys. As I always say, please love each other, love yourselves. Love yourselves first, okay? Then spread that love and love each other. We need a lot of that right now. We always need that exchange. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, night, wherever you are, whatever time this is. Who knows when you're going to find this. And I hope to see you guys back. Take care, guys. Bye.